I thought I would say a little something to this vast audience.
Most deserving audience.
About New Year's. Because you know, it's human nature. I should say it this way, it's unique to humankind, the desire to change and to reform. Traditionally, I don't know if it's the same in India, but traditionally in the West, on New Year's, start of the new year, people make vows, resolutions, how they're going to have a better year, how they're going to be a better person. What they always say is they're looking for peace and satisfaction. So they're all making a plan. Now, Jai Tulsi Maharani, you don't, I'm just worried about hey Ram, when you come back, I'm worried about these sacred literature stacked in such a random way they're going to fall. Just take it. You can keep them there, but just a couple books. But that's a Leaning Tower of Pisa, ready to go. So you don't find the dogs and cats making New Year's resolutions. The dog doesn't say, you know, this barking causes a lot of problems. I'm gonna make a vow, no more barking at innocent people. And you don't see the cat saying, well, you know, why give the mice such a hard time? This year I want to get better. I'm gonna be a vegetarian this year. I'm giving up mice. You don't see how you like that. I said that for you. They're set, they're fixed. But the human form of life, man is called the rational animal. Prabhupada used this. He liked this saying. I think it's a British saying. Man is the rational animal. And Prabhupada said, if we lose our rationality, then how are we different than an animal? We're just going by instinct and stimulus and response and what tickles our fancy. The Vedas say, Vedanta Sutra, the cornerstone of Vedic literature, with the proper commentary being Srimad Bhagavatam, the ripened fruit. The Vedanta Sutra begins, Atato Brahma Jigyasya. Now you've got the human form of life. Human form of life is not obtained easily. It's after a sojourn of many, many lifetimes, up and down. What is it saying? Been there, done that. It's the original. Now we need a clock. Can you bring that clock, Saul? No, he can get it. Saul's young and energetic. Put it here because I don't want to drone on too long. And put it here. Thanks, Prabhu. So, Atato Brahma Jigyasya, after great difficulty, we finally come to the human form of life. Suppose I give this young lady, I give you $1 million. And you think, well, gee, it's cold tonight. I'm going to put it in the fireplace and use it for fuel. It would work, wouldn't it? It would burn. It would heat up your house for a few minutes. I don't know, $1 million? I guess if it was in hundreds, I guess it'd take a while to burn, you know? Okay. It would serve that purpose, right? You could use it as a fuel to heat your house. Is that the best thing to use it for? What do you think? No. Come to the temple, put it in the hundi. give it to Dayanidhi Prabhu, he'll know how to use it. Put it to a good use. So we have the human form of life We've spent it being cats, dogs, Indra, the heavenly planet. We've been all around, up, down, and all around the town. Should we use the rare human form of life obtained after great difficulty, bahonam janmanam mante, so many births, should we use it for the same thing that the dogs and cats and squirrels should we do that? Is that intelligent? Sure, you can do that. We can use this body for sense gratification. Prabhupada points out it's not really designed for that. If I put Bhakti Saul, our nice brahmachari Bhakti here, if I put him in a ring, a boxing ring or a cage with a Bengal tiger, who are you going to bet on as the winner of that match-off? Sure, he can defend, but, is your body designed to defend? If we actually analyze the thing, function from form, if we study the form to determine its function, we're not designed for defending. So many animals are leopards and tigers and elephants. They're much better. All right, it's not for that. And back to the elephant. An elephant eats how many bales of hay a day? We eat more than 3 chapatis. You got indigestion. So it's not designed for eating. As far as mating, pigeons have how many, what do they call them? Pigeonettes? Pigeons? Babies? I don't know. Rabbits? How many are we designed for? So the point is that if we actually look at it, eating, sleeping, mating, and defending, this body isn't designed for it. It's designed for something else. And it's designed to be the rational animal. It's designed for self-realization. So that's our premise. Our premise is, okay, we've got a unique gift here, the human form of life with intelligence. Now, what should we use it for? Everybody, I tell you, everybody is looking for peace. You talk to people, that's what they're, not on a macro scale, nationwide, United Nations and all that, but on a personal level. We're disturbed by so many things. But Prabhu's on the altar. Hare Krishna. They're absorbed in Krishna Bhakti, no problem, but it can be a distraction. No, I think it's sorted itself out. Thank you. So there's Tattvavada and there's Vedavada. And the Vedavada, Krishna describes in Bhagavad Gita, the fruitive language of the Vedas. And it's universal. Veda talks about universal principles. The Christians, they want to go to heaven. When I get to heaven, going to see them pearly gates. When I get to heaven, going to eat them chops and steaks. They want to get to heaven. Muslims, they want, so many virgins when I get there. Fantastico. Oh, well, what do we got? Hindu? Om Jaya Jagadishari. Give me a new car and a house by the sea. So this desire for, let me act pious and I'll get some heavenly, it's the same thing. It's Vedavada, knowledge for material enjoyment. And it does, someone was asking today in class, well, shouldn't we have spiritual solutions for spiritual problems? Okay. And material solutions for material problems. Sounds like a reasonable proposal. What's wrong with it? Anyone want to, hey, Suresh Bhai, nice to see you. Anyone want to guess? Anyone want to say? Spiritual problems need a spiritual solution. Material problems, a material solution. I say there's an essential flaw in that premise. Anyone want to say what it is? Don't be shy. You'll still get prasadam if you're wrong. Yeah.
You accommodate more material things by solving.
Okay, that's good. Anyone else want to say? We would offer that the only solutions are spiritual solutions. Material problems, you want to solve racism. They're not doing so well at it. It's around the world. It's perennial. It causes, huge. Millions of people have been killed over racism. As soon as you accept, and the United Nations, Prabhupada points out that all they're doing is putting up more flags. How are they united? But if you take a spiritual truth, oh, hang on a minute, I'm not this body. Hey, you're not that body. You're not that body. We're not black or white or brown or Chinese or Russian. One of my good friends is Badrinarayan Swami. Anyone who knows him, he's a completely saintly, wonderful person. Now, he told me this. He was giving an initiation in Russia, former Soviet Union, in Russia. And he was getting to know one of the devotees, wanted a prospective disciple. So he was asking him, what's your history? What was your life? How did you come to Krishna consciousness? Turns out this person, he was about the same age as Badrinarayan Swami. Okay. Turns out that he had been in the Russian Air Force, Soviet Air Force. Turns out that Badrinarayan Swami had been drafted into the army during the Vietnam War. Oh, the prospective disciple, I was also fighting in the Vietnam War. Really? Where were you? Well, I was in Da Nang. I was also in Da Nang. Really? What were you doing? Well, I was flying MiGs, trying to bomb the American forces. Badrinarayan Swami said, gee, that's funny. I was in the American forces. I was shooting an anti-aircraft gun. So the disciple was flying over and the guru was trying to shoot him down, But here in spiritual life, automatically we're brothers. We're all in the same family. We have Krishna. Doesn't matter Russian, American, Chinese, black, white. We're the international. I counted the other day. Devotees just here in the temple. We have Indian. We have USA. We have Canadian. We have Cambodian. We have El Salvadoran. We have Argentina. I mean, I could just keep going. We've got devotees from, and if we add in the regular congregation, we've got the devotees from Croatia, we've got people from Russia, we've got people from all over the place. Philippines, there's another one right there. So all of a sudden we have United Nations, and nobody's like, well, you're from South Korea, I'm from North Korea. I mean, doesn't even enter the devotee's mind. So my point is that if we want to solve the universal problems in life, without even having to deal with it, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, it's a fantastic verse, and it says, you can't have happiness. It's a progression. Let's just follow the progression. Common denominator. Let's just New Year's resolution. 2021 was a tough one. Jeez, let's hope 2022 is better. So let me make some resolutions. I'm gonna really, would usually last for about a week, 2 weeks, maybe a month. But anyway, and a universal one is that I want to become happy. I'm going to lose weight. I'm going to do whatever I'm going to do. I'll become happy. Okay, happiness. That's a common denominator. We all want happiness. Now Krishna says, but you can't have happiness without peace. And think about it. If your mind is agitated, you can be on a Tahitian island, perfect weather, no cell phone, lapping waves, tropical breeze. But if your mind's agitated, I'm going to pay for the ticket, or, my wife dumped me, or, whatever it is, I got to go back to work in 3 days. Vacation evaporates. It takes you a couple of days to even unwind. And then the last few days, you're worried about going back to work and everything built up on your desk and, whatever. Maybe they realize they didn't need you and you've been down, what do they call it, downshifted? Dropped down a shaft, whatever it is, downsized, redundancy. They have to put so many nice words on it, Actually, we're just going to nail you to the wall and drop you down a shaft. But, it's just redundancy. So if your mind, we want to become happy, universal. Different definitions of how we become happy, but the principle of happiness is universal. All right. But Krishna says you have to become peaceful. And we just, simple example, the mind's agitated, how are you going to be peaceful? Okay, so I want to become happy. Yes, check that box. Well, I've got to become peaceful. All right, that's a prerequisite. Well, what's the next logical question then? If I want happiness, happiness requires peace, then what's the next question? How do you get peace? Yeah, definitely. And what does Krishna say? You have to have a steady mind. If your mind's all over the place, your mind's agitated, how are you going to be peaceful, right? All right, so then what's the next logical question? Hare Krishna. What's the next logical question? How do you get a steady mind? How do you get a steady mind? What does Krishna say? Krishna says you have to have transcendental intelligence. Well, what the hey does that mean, transcendental? What does that mean? And it means to be, and Krishna says, he ends that sequence by the mind has to be fixed in the Supreme. If we understand the greatest fear in life is death. That's in-game. Painful death, that's the greatest fear. But if we understand, wait a minute, I've seen we just recently had the example of Rajendanandana Prabhu who left this world. And he was in a tough spot. He walked, he was losing weight, he wasn't feeling well, he had a big pain in his back. Went to a couple chiropractors, that didn't do the job. Finally said, geez, I'm going to have to go to the doctor and find out what this is. They told him, you have spinal cancer and it's terminal. And you've got, what did they give him, 3 months? When I talked to him, they said, and he was gone in 6 weeks. How did he take it? That's a legitimate tough spot. And he just took shelter of Krishna. He just took shelter of the holy name. He told me, he said, I always knew I was going to be in this spot eventually. There's a famous American poet, and he said, I always knew that man was mortal, but I always thought there'd be an exception for me. We think that in the back, well, okay, it'll happen someday. Oh, man, how does it work? There was a man, Prabhupada tells the story, I think it's from the Padma Purana, but there's a man who all of a sudden dies of a heart attack. And he's very upset. Took him by surprise. He was out jogging and wham. So when he went before Yamaraj, I'm updating it a bit, but when he went before Yamaraj, he said, I want to file a complaint. Where's the complaint box? I don't recommend to see how you deal with Yamaraj. But of course Yamaraj is a devotee, that's another story. But he wanted to file a complaint. And Yamaraj said, sure, no problem, but what's the issue? And Yamaraj said, you didn't give me any warning. I didn't have a chance to get my dimwit relative out of my will. I didn't have a chance to get my granddaughter married. My daughter, whatever. Wham! You just took me. You didn't give me any warning. That was his complaint. No warning. Anyone know Yamaraj's response? I gave you so many warnings. I gave you gray hair. I gave you specs. I gave you a cane. But we think, so Raj told me, I always knew I'd be in this spot. I just didn't expect it so soon. And therefore he concluded what to do. Sooner or later I'm going to be in this spot. I'm here now. Let me do my duty. And his wife was great. His son was great. They were all it was a really nice devotee family, So that which was materially a crushing experience, by the addition of transcendental knowledge, he thought, well, great. It came when I'm still conscious, the brain still works, and I've got a little peace, I've got some money in the bank to take care of the family. Fine, take me now. That's a profound position to be in, but my point is we want happiness, requires peace, requires a steady mind, which requires transcendental intelligence, which means to see things as they are, to be fixed in the Supreme. There's this still around. There's a devotee, Bhakti Raghava Maharaj, and Ram will remember him from Mayapur. Were you there when he was in Mayapur? And he had a bad leg. He had, he was twisted even in the womb. And all of it, it was a game leg, we used to call it. I don't know, whatever they say now, But he had a bad leg. And it used to cause him pain. It's a long story, but there's some dacoits, some robbers attacked the Mayapur temple. And they wanted to steal our Srimati Radharani, the small Utsav Radharani, Tapta Kanchana Gaurange, because she was so effulgent. They thought she was solid gold. So they thought, we'll steal her and melt her down and make a bunch of money. So it's a whole story. They attacked the temple. And they actually kids don't try this at home, but they made a homemade bomb. You put a stick of dynamite in it, or a quarter stick of dynamite. You put nails all around it, and you wrap it with tape, and it's got the fuse. And when it blows up, those nails fly everywhere. When they attacked the temple, Bhakti Raghava Maharaj was one of the heroes who was protecting the deities. And when they threw one of those bombs, homemade bombs, it blew off his leg. You know what his response was? It was always causing me trouble. I was thinking about having it removed anyway. Just see Krishna's mercy. That's a pretty far out reaction, And there's so many examples of that the devotees understand because of transcendental intelligence. Well, actually, I can't really enjoy in this life. I'll give you an example. What's your name, young lady? Oh, she's too shy?
Ajuni.
Huh?
Her name is Ajuni.
Ajuni. So suppose I give you know what coal is? Black coal? Suppose I give you some coal, and I say, can you wash this and make it clean for me? Make it white. I'll give you a brush. I'll give you detergent. I'll give you a scrubber. You look healthy. Go for it. She's a sincere person. I don't mean to put you on the spot. Sorry. Let's suppose I give Dimitri. Dimitri's, big and strong. Are you going to be able to wash that coal? Why? You can wear it down. It can be a piece this big. You can wear it down to a tiny little nub. Will it still be black?
Yes.
Why?
That's the nature.
It is the very nature of the thing. So transcendental intelligence means to understand the very nature of the thing. There's miseries caused by other living entities, miseries caused by the mind and body, what is miseries caused by the material nature, adibautic, adidevic, adiatmic. There's time, which is constantly mutable. I want a permanent situation, but everything from the tiniest atom is under the influence of time, and by the laws of friction, inertia, everything's wearing out in this world. Everything. From social structures to history to universes to the cells in my body. We're up against time. I said the other day, a guy said to me, he was talking to his friend. I was standing in line at the whatever. And he said, his friend said, how are you doing? He said, oh, I'm just killing time. You ever heard this saying, killing time? I was thinking, no, he's not killing time. Time is just fine. Time's killing him. That's what's actually happening here. So the simple point I'm trying to make is that the solution, the resolution, if I keep trying, if I have the same deck of cards, is there 52 cards in a deck? Yeah, I think. If I keep shuffling those 52 cards, does it matter how many times I shuffle them? Am I going to get more than 52? And I don't know what the mathematics are, but there must be a finite number. There's only so many combinations. I'm sure it's extensive, but there's only so many. Or a subset. Anyway, I don't go too far afield. The point I'm trying to make is that if you try to cure a material, that was the thing. Spiritual problems, spiritual solutions, material problems, material. No, there are no material solutions. And therefore, there's no material happiness. It's an oxymoron. It's like saying military intelligence or country music or, I don't know what oxymoron you want to come up with. But to say material happiness, it doesn't exist. It's like saying cleaning coal. You can't do it. So we'll end here. The point I wanted to make was that it's a new year, and the vow to make is let me become more Krishna conscious. Let me actually, if I want to become happy, if I want to become peaceful, if I want to make the world a better place, what did Gandhi say? Be the change you want to see in the world. Then the only thing I can really do to make a difference in my life or anyone else's life is to become more Krishna conscious. And therefore we should all, that's the kind of vow. Let me do more, let me chant better rounds, let me read a chapter of Gita a day or 5 minutes a day, Bhagavad Gita. I was talking to a devotee who just moved into the temple who has not finished Bhagavad Gita. I said, what? I mean, what if at the end of Bhagavad Gita says, Krishna says, actually that was all wrong, just go and enjoy. Who was saying that there was some big guru at the end of his life said everything I wrote was wrong? Voltaire, the famous Renaissance philosopher from France, who was an atheist, hardcore atheist, and his deathbed called for a priest. That kind of rocks. Hey, wait a minute, So our simple point, Hare Krishna to you. We're just going to have Tulsi Puja in a minute. We're finishing a little katha. And there'll be another darshan of the deities. So we have free will, we have independence, we have intelligence, we can make a difference in our life and a difference in the lives of others. And how to do that, we will not be able to do it. You cannot go to the moon in a balloon, you cannot clean coal, we cannot solve spiritual problems, which are the essence of everything, with material formulas. It simply doesn't work. So this is a good chance because people are contemplative. What is it, Ram? What does it mean, the contemplation at a funeral? At the crematorium. What's the Sanskrit for that? Yeah, that vairagya that at a funeral, people, at least for a few minutes, they're contemplative. Geez, there by the grace of God go I, and what did I do with my life? It's a natural instinct. So similarly, we're in a junction. A new year is ending. An old year is ending. A new year is coming. So we should take that moment of reflection and think, how can I actually advance in spiritual life? And it's so easy. You just pick something that you can sustain. I mean, people... And I don't want to pick on anybody. I don't know where anybody's at, but hey, maybe I won't drink. I saw a T-shirt downtown we were chanting downtown New Year's, and it said, "Instant idiot, just add alcohol." And I thought, well, there's honesty in packaging. The guy at least knew what was up. So maybe I won't drink. Well, that's too big a jump. Well, hey, don't eat meat. I mean, that's just common sense, health, environmental, climate change. I mean, where do you want us? What to speak of karma? Non-violence, what comes around goes around. But, all right, well then just don't eat red meat. Start somewhere. Well, I'm going to get up, my mind's always agitated, and go to bed go to bed a half hour earlier. Get up a half hour earlier. And chant a little bit of the whole Hare Krishna mantra. Get a set of beads. Chant 10 minutes. I guarantee you'll find a profound difference. Your whole day, and you'll get a jump on the mind. You'll actually be ahead of the curve. Get up and chant. Get up and read. Chanting, fine. Get up and read it. Read a few verses of Bhagavad Gita. Moor yourself in some real wisdom before you go out and face the day. So it doesn't matter. All right, well, I don't like to read, I don't like to chant. Okay, come to the temple once a week and take darshan of the deities. There was a lady, Braja Bardu. How old was Braja Bardu? She lost track. She was over 100. I think she was 90-something, but she'd lost track. Old lady, not in good health. She would have a friend bring her to the temple. Was it every day or once a week she used to come? And she would sweep this patio. And she would start at 8 o'clock in the morning. She'd come, she'd have darshan of the deities, and then she'd just at that pace. And the brahmacharis would break our heart. Come on, mother, we'll do it. No. She was adamant. And she'd sweep till noon. Then she'd come in for the noon arti, take a little prasadam. Then she'd go back out. And through the whole afternoon, at the evening darshan, the early evening darshan, she'd have darshan the deities, pack up a little prasadam, and someone would drive her home. So who can't do that? Who can't sweep? Scrub a floor. Come and chop a few vegetables. I mean, we do so many things that are fun. So that's our point, that just in this moment of reflection, we all want to become happy and peaceful and feel that our life has meaning and we're making progress. And the only way to do that is by spiritual practices. So take it seriously. I plan on it. Okay, thank you, Hare Krishna. So what do we do now, Ram? Yeah, I think we have Tulsi Puja.